Well done, Lionsgate. Well done. This is my review of Mockingjay Part 1. I saw it in theaters, and if you're wondering why I'm putting this up at like 1 in the morning, it's because, well, I went to a pre-screening, which the local AMC near me was screening the movie early, which means like 2 hours before midnight they put the movie up, and I went and saw it. And just so you know, I am going to go into spoilers. There is very little conceivable way I could really describe this film without going into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, I strongly would advise not watching this. Go see it for yourself, then come back here and watch it. Even if you've read the books, because there is a slight deviation at one point that I don't want to ruin for you. Yeah, so real quick, I'm just going to sum up how I feel about the books and then how I feel about the movies. The first book I generally enjoyed. I thought it was pretty good. Second book I really liked, although I think the first half was much stronger than the second half, but still pretty good, better than the first one. Third one, mixed bag. The first half of Mockingjay was pretty good, and then the second half was alright, and then the conclusion was, I'm not really sure how to feel about it. At least I think that's how I feel. There'll be a link in the description to to videos describing how I felt that each book or film. Film-wise, first film I thought was fine. It did a good job telling the story. It wasn't anything spectacular, but was really, but it was well done. Second one I really enjoyed. Thought it continued the trend of well done. It was, along with having better source material to work with, it was just an all-around solid film. And then the third one surprised the hell out of me, because when I first heard that they were make this into 2 movies, it's like, you don't need to do that. You can do it in 1 movie. And it's like, oh no, they're going to ruin it. It's going to drag. There's going to be a lot of points where I'm like, okay, this is too long. This could be shortened. But they made it work unbelievably well. Like, this is one of the best film adaptations of a book I've ever seen. And the film is about Katniss leading the revolution against the Capitol, but and that's pretty much all I can say. I don't really know how to summarize it, but man, is it good. Like, this film completely justifies itself in being 2 movies. I mean, it is so well paced. Like, the story flows really nicely from one scene to the other. It connects really well. Oh, by the way, this video is probably going to be really long just because I have a lot to say. But you're probably going to know that by the right time in the video. But yeah, it's really well paced, flows well. Like, every scene connects well to the next. Like, at no point does it feel like the film's rushing, underdeveloping characters or story. Like, if you've read the book, like, pretty much everything pretty much everything is in there, at least from the section they choose to cover. Like, I can't recall, I mean, if they cut stuff out or changed stuff, like, it was probably nothing that major. I mean, I haven't read the book in a year, so I don't know, but as far, with the other books, film adaptations of the books, there are moments where I'm like, okay, I remember I know that they cut stuff out. I'm like, okay, they cut this out, they didn't explain. Well, here, none of that exists. Like, everything is so well explained. The story connects well. Like, you don't have to read the book. At no point do I think anyone watching this will be like, I'm guessing this is explained better in the book. I'm a little confused about this. Everything makes sense. At no point does it feel like they glossed over something or something's not developable. Everything's developable. And surprisingly, the film doesn't drag. I mean, it flows surprisingly well. Like, it's 2 hours, yet it goes by really quick. It's not like The Hobbit, where I'm just literally sitting there thinking, you could cut this out, you could shorten this. Like, it flows really well. And it makes me wish the Harry Potter films were multiple films, because those films I felt like, not the earlier ones, but the later ones, I felt like they were rushing a bit. Like, there was so much material they had to cover, and they had to cut out, like, all these plot lines. They were kind of glossing over stuff there. Everything just felt rushed. The story felt underdeveloped. The characters felt underdeveloped, whereas this feels so meaty. And it's very rare where I see a film adaptation where they pretty much tell the book and nothing's missing, nothing's rushed, and it doesn't drag. Like again, Hobbit films add so much padding. This film has none. There is one chunk of this film that is purely made from the book. Not yet. There's one bit of this movie that's not in the book at all, and I would have hated on it, but it worked. Like, it was the weakest part of the film for me, but it worked. Like, for a couple reasons. And again, if you've read the book and you don't want any spoilers, don't watch this next part, because I'm gonna ruin something for you. So the climax of the film is them rescuing Peeta, and in the book we don't see that. We just hear it's happening and we see Peeta getting back. And yeah, you could have cut that and shortened it, but you need some sort of climax to the movie. You can't just have talking, Peeta shows up, and film ends. You need something somewhat big, and this worked. Like, I mean, it was something that happened in the book. It's just we didn't see it. It's not like The Hobbit where they're literally putting in an action scene that never happened. This happened, we just didn't get to see it. And it serves a point to the movie. It doesn't feel like filler. It's not like there's no reason we need to see the dwarves fighting Smaug. We can just cut that out. And while this is too, it gives us a climax. Unlike The Hobbit, it doesn't get too crazy. It doesn't go on too long. It's very grounded. So I'm not just sitting there going, oh, why didn't they cut this? And it's also kind of chilling, because you have Katniss talking to Snow, and he's giving the speech about the dangers of the ones who love you, and then we see that, and it's like, oof. Now, the one time... Now, the ending is a little cheesy to an extent. Like, it goes on a little longer than I would like. There's a moment like, okay, if you just end the movie like this, it'll be perfect, and they do end the movie like that, but there's a bit more in between the storming of the Capitol scene, which reminds me a lot of Call of Duty, except it's interesting. But anyway, so there's a bit of stuff between the rescuing of Peeta and the ending of the movie, and that in-between part I didn't like. Like, I would have much rather them just cut that part out. And the part is, like, they're giving a speech about storming the Capitol, taking back Panem. I'm like, you don't need that. That's just cheesy setup for the next movie. But I'm okay with that because the way this movie ends, and I know I said I'm going to spoil stuff, but I don't want to ruin this, but the way this movie ends is perfect. Like, I was just saying, like, okay, if they end the movie this way, it'll be perfect. And it is. Like, it's a lot like the Catching Fire. I'm really sitting there saying, if they just cut it right here, it'll be a perfect ending. I'm like, and literally, it's like, they're getting towards, like, okay, and I know Doug did this in his sibling rivalry review, but I'm going to do it here. And cut. And cut. And cut. And it cuts. So yeah, overall, story's fantastic. I forgot how much I loved the first half of Mockingjay. That's how good this movie was. Like, it took the best elements of that book and just ran with it. The great social commentary on media and propaganda, the life of celebrity, the film industry. Like, all that great writing just done wonders here. Like, oh my gosh. Like, the more I think about it, the more I think this is my favorite of the Hunger Games books. And the characters, my gosh. This is like everyone in this movie is at their best here. Like, everyone has their moment, everyone has their fun in the sun, everyone's well done. Katniss, great female protagonist. Jennifer Lawrence, once again, wonderful job as her. Again, it's a combination of just being a wonderful actress to begin with, and she's also giving great material. Gale is really good in this movie. To anyone who complains that Gale is useless, your mind's going to change after seeing this film. We see his relationship with Katniss. He is there for her. And to anyone who ever doubted that Gale was useless, see this movie. Peeta is great. I've heard a lot of people say they don't like Peeta. They think the actor playing him, Josh Hutcherson, or no. This film, he can fucking act. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Jennifer Lawrence. Some of her best acting in this film. Some of the facial expressions. Some of the her reflecting the trauma she's going through. It's wonderful. And Peeta, oh my gosh, he's great. Like, again, if you say this guy can't act, if you say this guy's an awesome, wait until you see this movie. He is great in the media scenes. And oh, by the way, there's something involving Peeta at the end of this movie where I'm like, damn. Haymitch is in this movie as well. He is great, funny, and entertaining as always, along with being a great mentor. And I'll just say this. All the characters sort of get reintroduced in this movie. Haymitch has the best reintroduction. Like, his entrance, when he enters in this film, I just wanted to burst out laughing. I mean, I didn't because I wanted to be respectful to the people in the theater, but I just wanted to bust a gut. It was that awesome. Effie, this is Effie's best film. Now, she's become a really interesting character. Her change of heart, and just, oh my gosh, she is so interesting in this film. And not only that, but she's pretty funny. Like, everyone in the theater was laughing at Effie. Like, Effie got a lot of laughs, and just really good stuff with Effie. And Blue Shark, oh my gosh, he was amazing. Not only was his character interesting, but Philip Seymour Hoffman did a wonderful job playing him. I mean, when his character first walked up on screen, it was kind of sad, kind of surreal, just because, he passed away, unfortunately, earlier this year. I forget when he died, but it was sometime after filming Mockingjay Part 1, while they were working on Part 2. It was very surreal, just knowing that he died and knowing they had this footage of him that they shot right before his death. It was really good. Like, it's bittersweet, because on one end it's really good, but on the other end it's kind of sad just knowing that he passed away, and I will miss him in the Part 2, and apparently they had a major scene they had to film with him, which it's a shame he's not around for it, because he's so good in this film. Like, it'll be interesting to see how they work around it. It's a tragedy that they have to work around. I hope they can work around it. But yeah, and they dedicate this film to him, and I just want to bust a tear. And let me just say this. Philip Seymour Hoffman, you are a great actor. This is, as one of the last films to go out on, this is a great film to go out on. I'm sad that you're not around to do Part 2, but from what I've seen you in, you are a wonderful actor. I saw you in Death of a Salesman when you were on Broadway a couple of years ago. You were excellent in that. You were just a wonderful actor. And if there is a life after death, I hope you are resting in peace. I just wanted to put that out there. Because again, he's a wonderful actor, and he's unfortunately no longer with us. Anyway, now that I've made that, actually, now that I think about it, I should have saved that for the end. Kind of, so. But yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman, really good. They even dedicate the film to him, and when the credits come up, it says dedicated to Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Like, everyone in the theater was like, oh, but understandable. It kind of makes it... I should have saved this for last now that I think about it. I mean, I could re-record it, but I'm like 14 minutes in, so... If you want, just watch that part last. In fact, probably do it that way. So yeah, I'm probably going to try and keep a more laid-back tone, just because it would feel really weird going back to being overly dramatic after that. But anyway, Finnick was really good in the film as well. This was Finnick's best film. I mean, the first film is kind of that, that snark, kind of jerky, but kind of nice guy. Here you really feel for Finnick. It's like, he's just, you really feel bad for him. Like, he's so broken, and you really want to get better. And when he's reunited with his girlfriend, you feel so happy for him. President Snow was a great villain, even with everything being as a mess it is, even with Katniss being the symbol of revolt, even with him having Snow having riots on his hands, he is still going strong. Every time he's on screen, he is just intimidating. He has this presence to him, and it's cool. Like when he blows up the hospital just because Katniss went in there, even though there's a bunch of innocent wounded people in there who had no control over Katniss coming to them, he still blew up the hospital. Just moments like that make him brutal, and a great villain. And the end of the movie, he wins. Like, he's like telling Katniss to be the dangers of love, and yeah, he wins. I mean, the fact that the movie ends with them having a psychotic Peeta to deal with, just, oof. Prim is also good. This is a great film for Prim. We really see her there for Katniss in a way we haven't in the other films, and I love their relationship, which, if you don't know what happens at the end yet, Prim is very important in the second half, and just, I love how they're setting that up. Like, just this film and these films just feel so tied together in a way that most franchises aren't. It's like, and again, I think a lot of it has to do with the book and the fact that the writer clearly planned out her story ahead of time. It wasn't like, I'm going to do these books and I'll have some idea of where I want to go, but I'm making it as I go along. No, she planned it out, and sometimes that works out. I think ultimately you'll have a much stronger story if you just sit down and come up with a general idea of where do I want to go, where do I ultimately want everything to end up. And let's see, who else do we have? Beatrice, or whatever the name of the smart guy is. I liked him. He was pretty good. I found him more entertaining here than in the last movie, probably because he had a bit bigger role. Not Sinner, Caesar. I enjoyed him for the moments he was on screen. He wasn't on screen. He didn't have as much to do in this film as the last one, but the moments he was there, I really enjoyed him. And the president of District 13 I thought was really likable. And the presentation was overall really good. I mean, I stand by that this director is probably one of the best things to happen in this franchise. He's a much better director. He's way better with cinematography, visuals, everything. So many great shots. All the sets look pretty good. It captures the look and feel nicely. It feels like the book I read. I mean, there are certain parts that are different from how I pictured them, but this is more or less feels like the book. The scene, the whole scene that was in the book where they have to rescue Peeta, that was really well done. And the music was really good. Seriously, I mean, with Harry Potter, I didn't really like the David Yates, the director that took over the later films. He was alright, but I don't know, Chris Columbus, everything felt grand. The world felt alive and magical in a way that it didn't in the later Potter films, and that might just be due to the fact that they were darker, but I don't know, I just like the sense of fun that came with the earlier ones. This Francis Lawrence, this guy really knows how to work with material. It's like Lionsgate just wants money, but he and his crew are putting some real solid effort into their franchise in a way that I've never seen a film franchise have this much love, care, and respect for the source material. Now, the presentation isn't perfect. There are some problems. There's an action scene in the film. It's the hospital scene, and there is shaky cam there, and it did annoy me. I'm like, come on. I mean, they don't use the shaky cam as much as in the other films, but that was the one moment where I'm like, come on. I mean, I get why they did it, but you didn't need it. It's not as bad as in the first Hunger Games, and it's only that one scene where it really bothered me. But still, I mean, the fact that it's there, it's like, can we not use shaky cam? It's distracting. It's hard to tell what's happening, and I wish they didn't. Also, there's some CGI effects that are pretty obviously fake. There's this one scene where Katniss and Gale are going hunting in the woods, and they see a deer, and the deer is clearly CGI. It is so fake. And the costumes aren't really that. interesting. They aren't bad per se. I mean, they're good, but there aren't as many interesting costumes and makeup as in the last book, but book film. But again, I don't want to really hold that against the film. We're in District 13. We're not in the capital. We aren't in a place where there's that great a variety of costumes. So I'm not gonna hold the film that highly against it. And yeah, that was. So yeah, in case you can't tell, I really like this film. It was a really pleasant surprise. I forgot, like, a lot of why I hate Mockingjay is the conclusion, but looking back, the first half was really solid, and this film just wonderful job telling the story. It's really concise. For those of you who are worried that it's splitting into two movies is a bad idea, trust me, it's not. The film flows really well and gets everything in the book. It doesn't drag that much. You're not going to be sitting there feeling like there's a lot of moments where it should be cut or shortened. Like, it's really good. Again, honestly, I think this might be one of my favorite film adaptations of a book. Far surpasses any of most of the Harry Potter movies. Like, this is the way I'm feeling when I watch these movies, especially this one. This is the way I want to feel when I wanted to feel when I watched Harry Potter, but I'm too much of a fanboy. Also, it might be the fact that I put some distance between when I saw the film and when I read the book. So, if it was fresher in my mind, I might be a bit more critical, but here I'm not. And yeah, I just wish more films were this good, that just split their stories up into multiple parts to really flesh out the story. I haven't seen Game of Thrones yet, but I'm really excited about it. I mean, the fact that they're making a TV show, I think is fucking brilliant. Little concerned about budget constraints, but yeah. So anyway, back to Mockingjay. So, would I recommend this movie? Absolutely. This is a film you need to see. I mean, everyone's going to be talking about it. Not only that, but it's really good. Great characters, great story, great presentation. You don't have to have read the book to understand this. I mean, at no point are you going to be confused, feel like you're missing something, like you'll get it. And fans of the book, don't worry, it's really faithful and respectful to the source material. So as a fan, I don't think you'll be pissed off. I mean, the only thing that you might not like is the scene they added that wasn't in the book. But again, it's not that long. It's not that distracting. So I don't think it'll bother you that much. And yeah, like overall, if you enjoyed the first two films, I definitely would recommend checking this one out. And yeah, with this film being so good, I kind of want to wonder, is Mockingjay 2 going to still suck, or are they going to find a way to make that ending work? Because right now this franchise is free for free, and that's very rare. Usually, like, their films, franchise, it's like this is the point when the franchise starts to show weakness. But with this franchise, it keeps getting better and better. So I wonder, is the next film going to be weaker than the last one, the weakest of the franchise, or is it still going to be good? I'm really curious to see if he surprises me by making the ending pretty good. And yeah, it's like usually, and the fact that a franchise is this consistent, like, it's not like some where it's like, oh, the third movie. It's like, no, the third one's actually really good. Like, seriously, the weakest one was the first one, and that's probably the way it should be. I mean, like, it's almost a good thing that the first film wasn't so awesome, because it left the franchise so much room to grow, and it's gotten so good. So yeah, there's going to be a written review of this film. I haven't read it yet. I wanted to do a video now, just get this out there. And yeah, go see it. So real quick, I'm going to talk about the trailers I saw. So if you don't want to hear this, just stop right now. But I'm going to do this. And wow, this is almost as long as a Brad Jones review. But anyway. So let's see, what trailers did I got? I got the Hobbit trailer again. I don't really want to go into that again. I already discussed it when I reviewed Interstellar. So if you want, just go watch Interstellar review and skip to the end, and you can hear my thoughts on that. All I can say is this, though. It's not going to be Mockingjay Part 1. It's not. But I'll go more into that when I do my thoughts going into it. I also got the trailer for this movie. I forget what it is. It's coming out in January. It's this time travel movie where these kids use time travel to mess around and cause trouble and they wind up causing chaos. It looks interesting, although it's coming out in January, which is kind of the month when nothing good comes out. Although the film world is constantly changing what good films tend to come out where. So it could change. They put Michael Bay's name in the credits for some reason, although he's producing it, which means absolutely nothing. Why are you even using Michael Bay as a selling point? You know no one likes him. They showed the Pitch Perfect 2 trailer. When that came on, I was like, oh no. Because I had seen it earlier today, and I was considering, funny enough, I was considering doing a video on it, but I was just so busy that I didn't get around to it. No, wait, actually, it came out yesterday. I really don't care for Pitch Perfect 2. I mean, the girls in the film are loving it. I have nothing against the first Pitch Perfect. It was a decent film. I enjoyed the side characters. Rebel Wilson was pretty funny, but really generic story, one-and-done film. I really have no interest in seeing the second one. It's a pure cash grab. It looks like a dumb cash grab. People are going to see, enough people get suckered in that even if they don't like it, like, they're going to make a third one, and by the end of it, no one's going to care about the franchise, and you might even forget why you like the first one. Kind of like the Hangover films, or I would say the Matrix films, but I haven't seen them. Let's see, what else did I get? The Interview, that looked pretty funny. I'm worried they gave away the best jokes in the trailer. It looks really funny, and it's done by the guys who did Superbad, Pineapple Express. I haven't seen This Is the End of Neighbors, but I hear they're funny, and it looks all around pretty funny. I'm just worried they gave away the best jokes in the trailer. Night at the Museum Free, I really don't care for it. I mean, it'll be cool to see Robin Williams again, but yeah, I really don't care for Night at the Museum 3. Although, I love how Rebel Wilson was in 2 trailers. And this one, funny enough, in the trailer, she even references mocking the Hunger Games. And let's see, what else is it? Oh, yeah. Although, I didn't like the trailer because I feel like it gave away too much. Like, it gave away a lot of gags, and I feel like there's nothing that funny that's going to be in the film anymore. Like, the Rebel Wilson cameo, I feel like that should have been a surprise. Like, kind of like how in the second film, like, Jonah Hill's cameo was kind of... Well, it was in the film, but they didn't, like, show the entire cameo, whereas here I feel like they gave away, like, 90% of Rebel Wilson's stuff. Like, I mean, like, it feels like they're just using her as a selling point. Oh, yeah, and I find it so interesting that Ben Stiller's son in the film, like, how much he's aged. Like, he was a little kid in the first film, and now he's, like, almost like a grown boy. It's kind of like Carl from Walking Dead, like, he's significantly different. So yeah, it's just funny seeing him older. Hopefully this is the last film, although if it makes money, I doubt it. Nothing against Ben Stiller, it's just... Actually, I liked the films when I was younger, but I feel like if I were to go back and watch Night at the Museums 1 and 2, I probably wouldn't enjoy them as much. Although, but yeah, I'm done with Night at the Museum. I'm trying to think, what else did I get? I know there was other stuff. There was this, I forget, it was this film starring Johnny Depp, and surprisingly, I didn't know it was Johnny Depp until they revealed the credits of who was starring in it. So kudos to the film for once I don't see Johnny Depp. And I'm trying to think, I know there were more trailers. Oh yeah, right before the film came up, they showed the trailer for Allegiant. It was a decent trailer. Like, didn't really show much, and it got you generally intrigued. Like, I haven't read the second book. I've read the first one. I haven't read the second one. But I'm kind of curious now to read the second book. And I also need to get on the first, seeing Divergent, the first one. And I can't recall anything. Oh yeah, and those of you who are wondering, there were rumors that there was going to be an Episode 7 trailer in front of the film. There isn't. It would have been awesome, but it's not. If they're going to put it up, I'm sure they're just going to make it like a big deal, like a countdown. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. So, again, there'll be a written review up in a bit. But until then, this is JStars260 signing out, and go see this movie. It's great. Until next time, take care. Well done, Lionsgate. Well done.